Hey guys, it's week 7 and we are back. Myself, Austin, Tim, and I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to thank Myers Jewelers because last week I was wearing the Hearts on Fire and I said that Florida would win, and they did. So
That's all about Myers Jewelers
I'm
right
going to
there.
say that they're
What's the
very
difference?
lucky. Again, we're sponsored by them, Myers Jewelers. I'm wearing this beautiful Breitling watch. Check it out. Oop. As you can see, it's not fitted. I just got it today, so yours would obviously fit a little bit better. I doubt you have these tiny wrists that I also have. It's the Galactic series. It's got a mother of pearl face, and it's got a carat of diamonds on it, so I'm feeling pretty fancy tonight for sure. All right, let's get right to it, because I know that's not what you guys are here to.
Experience Myers Jewelers.
Experience Myers Jewelers.
We can't start the show without that. That's a tradition.
That's a part of it,
Yeah.
for sure. Up first, Georgia at LSU. I'm coming off of a high from saying that LSU was going to lose. So
Alex got the big one there.
Yep.
I don't think they will this week, though, because I don't think they will let that happen again. Georgia is an 8-point favorite, though, and it's a marquee matchup of the weekend. Can Joe Burrow and LSU take down the Dogs?
I don't think they're going to win the game, but I will pick LSU to cover here. Georgia hasn't really been tested this year. I think they're a really good team, obviously. But LSU, I think they were kind of due for a loss. The schedule kind of caught up to them last week. It's two good teams. It's going to be relatively low scoring, I think, with a couple of good defenses. I think this is a close game, and I like taking 8 points at home in front of at Tiger Stadium. There, I like the LSU to cover. Georgia will win the game, but LSU covers.
Yeah, this is one of the home fields that I tend to really expect something crazy to happen to shake it up. I mean, it's not crazy when you look at a top 25 team and the wins that they've had. I'm a little bit more concerned about LSU and this Murderers Row part of the schedule that they've reached, but I also am not completely sold on Georgia right now. I don't know why. I just can't shake the feeling that I don't view them as quite as potent as they were last year. So I'm also with you, Tim. I'm going to take the points, but I have a crazy feeling that that LSU might shock the world this week. This might be the one where they really start to throw that race into whack, especially in the East. I just don't think that whole division is very good. But I think something crazy is going to happen. I'm going to take Joe Burrow again. It hasn't worked every week for me, but this time I'm going to try it again.
I agree with you. All right, up next, Washington at Oregon. Washington is a 3-point.
I wonder where Tim's going.
You might actually be surprised with this one.
Washington is a 3-point favorite. Does Oregon get a top 10 win?
Well, because I'm a coward, I'm going back on my earlier statements from this year. Well, I did say the last time that I picked against Oregon that had I actually been putting real money on the game that I would have picked them, but I picked them against them out of spite because of the Stanford debacle a few weeks ago. But Oregon playing at home, getting points, I think they might actually be the better team in this game. Washington, Oregon is a legit top 15 team this year, in my opinion, and playing at home, getting points against Washington, who I also think is probably a top 15 team too. I just like that the Ducks playing at home, getting the points there. I'm gonna roll with the home underdog.
Allison is another stadium, sort of like what I was just talking about, that you tend to give them, credit for that playing at home. But you've seen, Tim, you've experienced what's happened with them in some games that they should win. Against another Pac-12 team. I think Washington in that defense and Chris Peterson, I'm going to roll with them. I think he's probably got some tricks to throw back at Oregon. Usually you expect the Ducks to have some stuff up their sleeve, but I think that the Huskies, they kind of need one to solidify themselves. It sounds kind of weird to say about them in that program, but the Pac-12 is not as good as it should be or could be, but they need Washington to win, and I think they will.
Yeah, I'm sure Oregon will hurt me again here. But
he's ready to be hurt again, folks.
I'm going with you on that one. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Up next, a very exciting game. Iowa at
The
Indiana.
most exciting.
it's one word for it.
Iowa's a 5.5-point favorite. Gritty Big Ten battle for sure. Who's winning in Bloomington?
I think, Tim, that Indiana is better than they get credit for. I know that this won't be the first year that anybody has said that, and a lot of times it turns out to not be true. But with everybody that was upset or up in arms about the way the Hoosiers played last week in the horseshoe and that Ohio State left a lot to be desired, I actually think that Indiana does some things well on both sides of the football. You never know it seems like to me you can flip a coin and not know what Iowa team is going to show up from week to week. I think Indiana, even though they might be a little bit banged up from having to deal with Ohio State last week, they played well. Tom Allen instantly set the tone, banging on that table after the game, and who knows if that'll actually work or if they can close the gap. But in the middle of in that middle tier of the Big Ten, I think Indiana has a chance to win some of those games and elevate themselves a little bit. And if you're playing at home, you know, I'm gonna take the Hoosiers there.
Yeah, I would stay far away from this game. That's my advice.
It's great for a gambling show.
Right, yeah. But because we are picking it, I was pretty surprised that Iowa put up 100 points last week against Minnesota, whatever, 48 I think they had. That kind of shocked me. You mentioned they're very unpredictable, especially away from home. You know, going a noon game in Bloomington, Indiana is Big Ten football at its finest. But I do think, I agree with you. Indiana's a little bit better than people think. I think they're a legitimate bowl team and showed some things last week. And I do wonder whether or not they kind of emptied the chamber, so to speak, to try and pull an upset against Ohio State. So I'm going to take the Hawkeyes here on the road. That's like playing with fire, betting on
rolling with Ferentz.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Like they showed me something maybe last week, and maybe I'm looking too much into one game against a pretty bad team, but it was an impressive performance away from home, and I think that Indiana coming off a game in which they pretty much laid it all on the line there, that maybe they have they look a little bit more like the inconsistent Indiana that we're accustomed to seeing. But so I'm going to take Iowa on the road. I know it's dicey. But yeah, that's in Ferentz I trust, I guess is what I'm going with.
Good luck to you, sir.
Hey, that's why I haven't won a whole bunch of money this year.
Come on, you got to step it up. You got to get yourself a watch.
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
Okay, Michigan State at Penn State. Penn State is a 14-point favorite. Michigan State has had a rough start this year. Penn State is coming off a bye after losing to Ohio State. Any way they can upset the Nittany Lions?
No. Flat out no. This is not a very good Michigan State team. The prognosticators who thought that this was a team that could win the Big Ten East, I have no idea what they were thinking. This team is much closer to the one that went 3-9 2 years ago. There were signals last year. The way Ohio State destroyed the Spartans when they came to the Horseshoe last year, that tells me that they were not ready. They don't have a good quarterback. Everyone got crazy about Lewerke for whatever reason. I don't think this is a good D'Antonio defense at all, and Penn State is a hell of a team. So no, I'm taking Penn State and laying those points all day.
You're not high on the Spartans
No,
this year,
I'm not high on the Spartans. I just thought it was crazy that somebody was thinking they could win the East.
So I do think that they overachieved last year, and that's kind of showing this year. I'm pretty disappointed, though. Like, usually they win some of these games against teams that aren't.
They may do it to Michigan, but they're not going to do it this way.
Right. Like, they lost to Arizona State, losing to Northwestern. Like, that's very puzzling to me. So I've been very disappointed with Michigan State, but I'm with you on this game. I think Penn State is really, really good. It's kind of like, I haven't heard anything. They didn't play last week after losing a really good game against Ohio State, so it's like people are kind of forgetting about them again.
They've ignored them,
Yeah, and I wouldn't have guessed that this line would be as big as it was at the beginning of the season or even a few weeks ago. But Michigan State just hasn't really done much, and I think Penn State's really good, so I'll happily lay the 2 touchdowns here and take the Nittany Lions at home.
I know it took me a minute to think about if we've even talked about Michigan State.
No, I mean, I don't think since that Arizona State game that we've picked one.
Nope.
Yeah, no. All right, Wisconsin at Michigan. Michigan is an 8-point favorite. College game day will be there. Who wins that top 15 meeting?
Spread has caught me by a little bit by surprise, but I'm actually fairly confident taking Michigan this week.
Oh, wow.
And I say that because I just don't trust Wisconsin at all, and not that I have full trust in Michigan and Jim Harbaugh and that staff, and obviously they have questions about winning big games, which they haven't really done yet in the last few years, but I just don't, like, Wisconsin plays a style of football that doesn't suit very well in this kind of game. Like, their defense isn't as good as it has been in previous years, which has kind of been what Wisconsin's built on, is they play good defense. And not that Michigan State's offense is explosive or anything like that, but I think they have a better offense, and I think they have a better defense. And I think Michigan playing at home has been able to score more points than they do playing on the road. So I think they win pretty comfortably, something maybe like 24-10. It's not going to be crazy high scoring like that, but I for some reason have a feeling that Michigan might dominate this game and win comfortably.
If I were looking to make a move to pick up something from Myers Jewelers, I think I would see that spread and be jumping all over Wisconsin right now. I've said before, Tim, we've talked about this. I don't believe in Michigan's offense. They've been too vanilla in big games. I don't think that the Shea Patterson Savior stuff really has come to fruition at this point. He makes a lot of mistakes when he's actually pressured, which he hasn't been in a while. I don't think that Wisconsin, as you said, is going to be able to have much success against that Michigan defense, but I could see this being another one of those really old school Big Ten games, a score that you might know, 12-9 or something like that. So I'd take the points in Wisconsin there. I think Michigan is going to win at home. People are going to start going even crazier about Jim Harbaugh and some hype for November 24th, and that's fine. I've got no issue with that. I'd like for as many people to be watching and reading about that game as possible when it comes, but I'm not convinced that either of these teams are actually real threats to Ohio State, so I'll take the home team and to not cover those points but win the game.
Yeah, the spread jumped out to me, but I think Michigan will win the game, and who knows? It's going to be low scoring and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of, I think, know that, but I just think Michigan's a little bit better right now, and I'm taking a risk by giving up more than a touchdown, but we'll see what happens.
All right, last but certainly not least, Minnesota at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 30-point favorite. Dwayne Haskins is unreal and breaking records left and right and just doing unheard things. Ohio State is likely to win, obviously. Do they cover?
Yeah, I think so, Tim. I mean, I've been amused all week with Urban Meyer talking about this top 20 Minnesota defense.
Just got
it's almost
50 hung on it by Iowa.
Yeah, it's almost like he's cut off the film from the last 2 weeks. Maryland and Iowa are never going to be mistaken for Ohio State's offense or Dwayne Haskins. This is at home with nothing about the Penn State hangover, something to prove for J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber, who have heard that the running game is struggling. As Alex mentioned, the absolutely absurd records that Dwayne Haskins is putting up every week. That's not going to slow down against Minnesota. I think maybe the reason that the number has come down a little bit since it opened at around 31 and it went up to 32, now back at 30, is probably something reflecting the defense and concerns about Malik Harrison's status, Jonathan Cooper both being out. That's a really banged up defensive line. But the truth is that shouldn't matter against Minnesota's offense. They're down their best playmaker on defense, best playmaker on offense. They've got a walk-on quarterback. And if that guy has success against Ohio State, maybe next week we'll have some real issues to talk about with the Silver Bullets. But I don't see that happening. Everything points to me to this being Ohio State at its best and just winning very easily.
Yeah, I think Ohio State looks tired, and they're obviously banged up a little bit, and they're kind of limping toward the open week that they've got coming soon. But I think maybe this feels like they might be a little rejuvenated this week after they looked a little sluggish against Indiana, and Indiana deserves some credit for that. But 30 points is so many to lay in a Big Ten game, and with Ohio State's kind of leaky defense, it makes me a little scared to lay 30 because you give up one big touchdown and all of a sudden that's a spread killer, right?
Well, this has been the team that's on the brink of covering
yeah,
every single week, right?
Right, yeah. TCU, they took a knee when they could have covered. Last week they took a knee when they could have covered. And you hate that, but I did. As someone when you're laying big points, Ohio State's going to win comfortably. But I think they're going to come out, look fresh, put this game over by halftime. I think that's going to be a goal of theirs, is to end it by halftime, get some of those guys who are a little banged up out of there, but still control the game in the second half with the second string guys and win comfortably. I think Ohio State covers the spread.
Yeah, got to put them in their place quick and be able to relax a little bit, the rest of the team.
Give us all an easy day with the noon kickoff.
I like that.
And help us all out so that we can all go to Myers Jewelers and get some nice stuff.
Get a watch. Yep.
Get a watch. For men, women, they have, obviously this is the women's, but they do have men's there. And get that Hearts on Fire's necklace because it will bring you luck, just like it did for me last week in that one game.
I might try
but
that.
I'm taking it and I'm holding on to it.
That's right. You're not getting it back, Myers. Sorry.
Well, thank you all. We will see you all next week. And myself, Austin, Tim, and go Bucks.